Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Grounded Masculine podcast with me, your host, Finn McKenna Fox. So, today I'm excited to dive into this one. This is talking about 5 shifts that you can make as a busy father to help you to create more stability in your life. And who the fuck doesn't want more stability in their life? But you might be thinking, Finn, what does that even mean? Like, why is stability even important? You see, doing this work for quite a while, I've spoken with a lot of fathers. And some of the common things that I see time and time again is guys think we need more discipline, we need more motivation, we need to work harder, we need to push more because you're just not doing enough. But the truth of the matter is, you don't need more discipline as a busy father. You actually need to create more capacity and the more stability within yourself and how you're showing up. Because that is one of the things that I see as the missing piece for so many guys. So whenever I talk about that stability within inside of yourself, that means like creating more rhythm, more structure, more self-awareness, allowing yourself to have more fucking recovery, having a breather for yourself. So you're not just always in that go, 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 do mode and just burning yourself out or keeping yourself on the red all of the time. Like who can relate to that? Who can relate as you're listening to this that you just feel like you're just in this constant go mode, your constant doing mode. And you're just like, fuck, is this what it is like? Is this what fatherhood is like? Is this what this season of my life is going to be? And when do I get time for myself? Why am I always getting cranky and frustrated with my kids? And the guilt that then comes in from that. Whereas, again, so many guys, and it's one of the things with social media and stuff, we see these perfect routines and we see all of these different hacks that we think that we should have, or we need to just train harder or wake up earlier or do more. But the truth of the matter is, it's learning actually how to slow down sometimes in order to speed up. So in today's episode, I want to talk into that more and talk into like 5 shifts that you can make within your life that actually aren't that hard or difficult to do, but are really fucking impactful when you do them and when you're consistent with them. So let's dive into what that is. So the first one is stop managing life based on motivation. So what do I mean by that? It's when I say it's like stop trying to manage your life based on motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect time, waiting for things to be right for you to be able to do what it is that you want to do or how you want to show up. Stop waiting for that energy to be able to actually push yourself to go to the gym or to do the thing that you've been putting off for so long. Because when you're always waiting for that motivation, a lot of times it's not going to be there because you're probably distracted so much more than you actually give yourself credit for. You're probably got too many things running around your head and you're feeling dysregulated. You're feeling all over the place and then you're not motivated to push yourself out of your comfort zone to do something different. But then what happens with that is you beat yourself up because you feel like you're not doing enough. You feel like you're not good enough. So if you're always relying on that motivation, on that perfect timing, things to line up perfectly with that, it ain't good at work. Whereas what you can do instead of relying on that motivation is create more systems, more routines for yourself. Have better boundaries for how you show up. Like what are the boundaries that you put in place for yourself? Like that could be with your time boundaries. That could be with work boundaries, making sure that work stays at work. So when you're at home, you're actually fucking present. It could be around training. It's like have better boundaries around your exercise, your workout. This is what I do as a bare minimum for myself because that's a bit of time for me to recharge, to move my body, to look after myself. Rather than waiting for the motivation to do it, it's like if I only trained when I was motivated, I wouldn't fucking train at all. Like whereas most of the time I train because I know that is going to be good for me. It's not that I have the energy and I'm really excited and feeling ready. Everything's ready to do that. But again, having better relationships with myself and having better routines and boundaries and non-negotiables for myself, it makes things work so much easier. The other things that I would really talk into rather than relying on motivation to be the leader for things for yourself is looking at like the systems that you can bring in to help whole family dynamic. It's not just for yourself, it's looking at how you can help support the whole family dynamic. Because again, this is what we're talking about, creating more stability within you, then creates more stability with the whole family unit. Because the more grounded, the more present that you are, the more connected that you can be for your partner and kids. So then the safer that they feel and then the more harmonious relationships is going to be. And that's a win-win-win for everybody. So the things that we can bring in with that, rather than waiting for the motivation for it all to line up perfectly, the things that we can bring in is bring in the levels of stability around having a connection compass. If you don't know what a connection compass is, shame on you. But all jokes aside, if you don't know what the connection compass is, this is one of the biggest non-negotiables every relationship should have. It's where you and your partner sit down for about half an hour, 45 minutes once a week and go through the Connection Compass protocol. It's literally a list of questions that you go through each and every week where you are asking each other questions. One's talking, one's actively listening, and you're holding that space for each other, being able to get a lot of clarity and just being able to move through all the stuff that you and unpack the stuff for you in that week. And then as you go through the questions in the Connection Compass, it actually goes into the more of the family planning roles and responsibilities and kind of getting a clearer outlook on what the week ahead looks like. Whereas when you start bringing this in, this is so much stability within this. This gives you so much more certainty within what's actually happening, and you and your partner are on the same page so much better. And the thing is like I even have guys that I work with who do this with the partners that are no longer together, but they still have this time where they do these and have these conversations and make that co-parenting relationship work so much smoother as well. So it's not just for people who are together. It's like if you're in a co-parenting relationship, good communication is fucking important. So again, not waiting to be motivated to have this perfect time to have these conversations with your partner. Whereas if you know, it's like every Sunday night, once we get the kids down, this is when we sit down and do that. That's just your non-negotiable. That's just what you do. You're taking all of the what ifs, you're taking all of the questions out of it. You're just like, this is what we do to show up for ourselves. It's like, that's just one example of what you can bring in. Other things is having a bit more of a solid training plan for yourself, or like there's loads of different things that can look for here, but just look for where you can start actually looking on bringing in more systems, more routines for yourself and your family that's going to allow things to happen more automatic rather than always relying on motivation to light things up. So next thing that we can look at is number 2 is learning how to ride the waves instead of fighting them. This has been a big topic for discussion in the Grounded Father recently for a few of the guys that I've been working with, as well as some of the guys in like the 1-on-1 Grounded Man program. And it is learning how to ride the waves that you are in. And what do I mean by that? It's so often we find ourselves feeling really frustrated because again, life is really busy. Life is chaotic. There's things moving all over the fucking place. And we're trying to push, go, do, but we just don't have it in us. And then the times we do have the energy to do the things, we do have that inspiration, that motivation, that time to do the things that we want to do, we're actually just too burned out, and we end up just procrastinating and doing nothing. And that can be really fucking annoying. Whereas the more you're able to actually learn how to ride the waves that you are in and work with that, that's going to make things so much smoother. So there's going to be times where you have energy so you can push, but then there's times where you don't have energy. You need to learn how to pull back, focus on simplification and focus on recovery rather than push. And for some guys, that can sound really hard. That can feel really hard. It's like, oh, I need to just do less or need to pull back. It's like, that's just a cop out. But the truth of the matter is like, especially if you are really stressed, if you have a lot of spinning plates in your life right now, that is so fucking important for you to actually bring that recovery and bring that slowness in to allow yourself to recharge. So then from that, you're going to feel so much better the next day. A perfect example was one of the guys just this week. I was talking to at a 1-on-1 call, and he was feeling really tired. He had this really important job that he needed to do. So he was like, right, I need to fucking get this done in the evening before we go to bed. And he started doing it. He was just hitting roadblock after roadblock. He was procrastinating. It just wasn't fucking working. And whereas before he would have just kept pushing, and he would have just had a ridiculous late night, been really pissed off and frustrated doing a shitty ass job of trying to do the thing because that's when the time he had to do it. But then that would have impacted his morning with the kids because he would have been really tired, really grumpy, really reactive. He still would have had to finish it off the next day. That was his old pattern. Whereas because what we've been working on, he was able to catch this and see this and was like, all right, I need to just pull the pin and go to bed early, get a good night's sleep, have a good morning with the kids. And like literally within the first 2 hours of the day, he was able to knock out what would normally take him 3 to 4 hours to do because he learned how to ride the wave instead of pushing against the wave. So again, this is action for yourself with this one is learning how to recognize the waves of energy for yourself. Like, is there times of days where you have more energy and time of day when you have less energy? Is there days of the week where you have more energy and less energy? Again, the more you can figure out this and start to understand where you are and what your energy levels are and work in your schedule, work in your calendar, work in your jobs around that, it's going to make things so much smoother for yourself. And again, that just helps create more stability for yourself. It helps things get a lot easier for yourself. So number 3 is looking at how your nervous system is running more of your life than you think. So again, if you're new to this, that might be new, but if you've been listening to me for a while, like you'll see I come back to nervous system pretty much every episode because it's so fucking important. The more we can actually learn how to work with our nervous system, recognize and understand our nervous system, that is going to give us so much more of the awareness and tools that we can do to help manage ourselves on a day to day. That's going to help us to show up better for ourselves so that we can show up for our partners and our kids. Whereas if you're completely oblivious to that, if you're just going through your day, fucking autopilot, just pushing, burning the candle at both ends, and then just burning out and crashing and being reactive and annoyed and triggered and frustrated and all of the things, you're not a good person to be around. So the more you're able to start actually, again, peeling things back to learn how to work with your nervous system, that's going to allow things to happen so much smoother for yourself. Because when you learn how to regulate yourself, when you learn how to calm things down, when you learn how to recognize the patterns for yourself, even so learn to recognize when you start feeling yourself starting to spin out, when you start feeling yourself become dysregulated, you can start understanding the things that you can put into place to support yourself better rather than waiting for the burnout, rather than waiting for the big reaction and then trying to fix things after that. You're able to catch that a lot smoother and set yourself up for a lot more success. And again, that's one of probably the biggest shifts that the guys that I work with start to speak about and understand within the first month of working together, because it puts so much emphasis on this. When they start actually working within their nervous system, everything fucking changes. So big action for yourself on this one is looking at and starting to recognize what are your warning signs or patterns that show that your nervous system is becoming overloaded. So what are the warning signs and patterns that show that you're starting to feel a bit dysregulated or starting to feel a bit overwhelmed? And if you can get really clear on what some of them patterns and warning signs are for yourself, that's going to help you massively. Cool. So number 4 is understanding your relationship needs. Because again, it's like we want to create more stability within ourselves to be able to show up better as a partner, as a father. So we need to actually really understand our relationship and what our needs are within a relationship for ourselves, for our partner, or even with your kids and the relationship as a whole, or even the family unit as a whole. What is the needs for all of everyone involved? Because the more we can actually start working within in that scope and starting to understand ourselves in that way, everything else actually starts getting a lot smoother. Whereas again, unfortunately, a lot of guys are fucking tunnel vision. They don't see things outside of that. They don't actually catch the cues with their missus. They don't catch the cues with their kids that they're feeling really overwhelmed or they're feeling a bit tentative or a bit sensitive. And we don't see that until it's too late. And we just keep trying to push and do things and work around that rather than actually being able to catch the cues of those closest to us and being able to then support them in the moment rather than fighting against that. Because when you're able to start actually making that shift and understanding your needs, understanding your partner's or your kids' needs, and being able to actually support them in that, the difference that will be felt in your household is massive. Your communication will improve, your patience will improve, presence and connection will improve, and not just for yourself, in the whole family unit. So again, the big action step for this one is really starting to look and recognize the cues in your partner and your kids whenever they need you, whenever they need that support. So again, to give a little bit of an example with this is how many times as a dad that you're having that fight. We know that one just like it's after dinner, it's been a late dinner, and you're trying to get the kids ready for bed, teeth brushed, PJs on, all of that sort of thing. And it's just this push, 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 fight, fight, fight. And you're feeling tired, you're exhausted from the busy day, you're thinking about all the stuff that you need to do once you get down to bed, and like there's just this fight and there's a shitty energy in the house. And that fight can go on for fucking ages, and then everyone's just pissed off and annoyed and upset at the end of it. And you feel guilty because how you were shouting at the kids or you weren't able to be present with the kids. Whereas if you're able to work on this specific one and being able to recognize the different needs in it, it might be the matter of seeing it as like, instead of pushing my daughter right now, is like, what's actually going on with her? Why is she feeling overloaded right now? Why is she pushing back at me? She's not just brushing her teeth because she doesn't want to brush her teeth. It's like, what's actually going on for her? How can I meet her where she is and connect with her in that? And more than often, it's like when you do that, you'll just feel that softening within them, and you'll actually feel that softening within yourself, because it's actually going to be more as like, it's that way to just pause and to just co-regulate yourselves with each other. And then everything will start happening so much smoother. So again, this is really cool one to being able to work with. I think I might do a podcast on co-regulation very soon because that's an interesting topic and a very, very important topic. I've had some big conversations with that in the grandfather calls over the last couple of months as well. If you want that, drop me a message on Insta as a little reminder. So then the last one, number 5 here, the how to create more stability as a busy father, is looking at managing your expectations. So this was probably one of the biggest overarching lessons that I've learned as a father. As like a father of 4 kids, run my own business, and a fucking life is busy. So it's really looking at managing my expectations of what I feel I can do, what I expect of the kids and of my partner as well. When I'm able to manage that and have a more realistic expectations of that, everything runs so much smoother. So when we just put it through that lens of ourselves, it's looking at, have you got a to-do list that is the length of your arm and you're always really frustrated and pissed off because you never feel it's getting any lower. But in a weekend, you actually take off 60% of that list, but you're pissed off because it's the 40% that you didn't. Whereas if you actually were realistic with your time, your energy, the effort, and the family's needs and everything as well, there's not a chance you would ever get through that 100% of the list. So this is where we need to manage our time, our energy, and our expectations of what we think we can do and what is actually realistic that can happen. When you're able to work on that, it is huge. And you start realizing it's like, fuck, I got all of these jobs done on the weekend and we had awesome time playing and doing X, Y, and Z as a family together. And how, like, everything worked really well compared to, like, oh, I've got all of these jobs done, but I didn't do this. And then I was pissed off. And then that meant I wasn't able to connect with my kids more because I was reactive, because I was actually just annoyed because I didn't do X, Y, or Z. It's a big difference with that. But how many times do you find yourself caught in the latter? Whereas if you're able to manage your expectations and work that within the whole family dynamic, you're going to feel so much more stability within yourself. And that's going to allow you to show up with so much more presence and connection. And that's what we're aiming for. Then the other big thing here as well with the expectations is manage your expectations of your kids. Manage your expectations of how you think they should be behaving and reacting to situations compared to how they are. Again, it's like, for myself, it's like so often it's like, I get annoyed with my daughters or like the sons when it's like, fuck, it's like, why are you acting like this? But then I actually pause and realize, like, oh yeah, like, you're 7 years old. Of course you are. Of course you're going to act like this. Whereas, like, sometimes again, that tunnel vision comes in when we're dysregulated, when we're stressed, when we're a bit more overwhelmed. Like, we just get into that tunnel vision, and then it's like, why is this person not doing X, Y, or Z? But it's like, oh yeah, they're a little person. This is going on for them. Of course, they're not going to be able to do that or pick up on them signs. So then again, it allows us to get out of that tunnel vision and allow us to actually see them for where they are and what's going on for themselves. So big one here. So again, with this here, the action step for the expectations is just getting really realistic. Where do you need to become more realistic with your expectations of yourself? Where do you need to become more realistic of your expectations of yourself? So I know hammered through all of this in under 20 minutes. There's 5 really important points to work on there. I'm going to put the questions, the actions in the show notes of this as well. And like, I really recommend you to journal on them and explore them over the coming week. And even if you just focus on one of these areas at a time, rather than trying to do all 5, that is going to be so much better than half-arsing and trying to get through 5. Because again, it's one of the things I see so often. We try to do too much and then we don't end up doing anything. Whereas if you just focus on one of these areas that you know that you need the most work in, and do that really well and see how you feel after a week or two on that. And then feel free to go back and explore the other ones. Because this is the thing, we are focusing on progress over perfection. That's the mantra that we have inside the Grounded Father community is like progress over perfection. How can you move the needle forward a little bit and do that consistently and steadily, rather than trying to have this perfect real reality of what you think that you should achieve? So on that, I'm just going to finish off with a little invitation to you guys. Mentioned it a couple of times, the Grounded Father community. So this is the community that I have in school where it's fucking awesome and I absolutely love what we're creating here. And there's 2 different tiers. So there's a free community that you can come into, and there's heaps of different courses, resources and trainings and everything like in that community. You can ask me questions and stuff like that in there as well. And we have the paid membership version, which is $200 a month, Australian dollars a month. And that gets you weekly access to the Grounded Man coaching call, or the Grounded Father coaching call, every Monday night, where we have a training or a session on different topics, but also like, you get one-on-one Q&As in that weekly call. And the fucking stuff that we are doing there, the things that we're moving through there as a group and as a community is so fucking awesome. And being able to hear all our guys on that journey is so nourishing. So for a really, really affordable price, I feel like you're getting so much value from that. And in July, we're going to be actually running like an eight-week program within the community as well, as no extra charge. This is there for the paid members of the community, where we're doing like an 8-week program, which is going even a deeper level of accountability and support to help you show up better for yourself and your family. So if this is something that's interesting to you, send me a message on Instagram, reach out, and let's get after things. Because at the end of the day, nothing's going to change until you change.